Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're going to go ahead and get started. Jum'ah Mubarak, thank you guys for being here. I'm Sister Shatha. I'm one of the youth coordinators here at Maryam Islamic Center. I will let each of the panelists introduce themselves, but I will do a quick run through. This is Sister Anjum. She is also another one of our great members on the youth team. And then to my left is Brother Aliyan and Brother Areeb, who are also amazing members of our youth team. So if you guys want to just give a quick intro as to who you are.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Anjum. I am a fourth-year college student studying public health currently, and I am so glad to be part of this youth group. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aliyan. I go to school, I go to work, I come here. That's me.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Areeb. I'm a student at UVH.
Cool. So for tonight, inshallah, we're going to be talking about finding illumination through the act of volunteering. If you guys have not been to one of these programs before, I'm going to give you a disclaimer that I do expect you guys to be interactive. So if I ask a question, please try your best to answer me. So we're going to start off with a quote. There are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Does anyone have any thoughts as to what this quote means? Anyone? Do you want to do this?
Basta, what do you think? What does it mean to you?
That's awesome. Honestly, for me, when I saw that quote, what came to my mind is exactly the same thing: to be the candle, to spread the light to others, like inshallah we do to you guys. Or the mirror that reflects it, inshallah, we can learn from each other. I can learn from you, you can learn from me, maybe. But another thing that comes to my mind when I see to be the candle is, when I tell you to be the candle, you can't just go and light yourself, right? And become a great leader, a great Muslim, a great person. In order to be the candle to another person, you need to be the candle to yourself. So I think the first step in doing that is to reflect on yourself, reflect on your actions, reflect on what and who you are, and how can you be a better person? How can you mold yourself in order to be the perfect candle, perfect Muslim, to be able to be lit and to be able to be that light for others.
Was there a hand? No? Okay, that's fine, that's fine. No? Okay. All right. So this is part 2 of me asking you guys to talk. So there's 2 questions. What does illumination mean? And then what comes to... Okay, this mic clearly does not like me. And then what comes to mind when you think of volunteering? So as usual, I don't expect essays as an answer, but just one word would be great. What does illumination mean? You guys can shout it out or raise your hand. Light? Realization. Okay, interesting. Anyone else? All right. What about the second question? What comes to your mind when you think of volunteering? Yellow dress. The thought of helping people sometimes makes you happy. MashaAllah, that's awesome. Yes. Can you repeat yourself one more time? To be friendly with others. Awesome. Yes. Speak up just a little louder. One more time, please. Making other people's lives better. Okay, awesome, awesome. Anyone else? So helping others, right? There's like this common theme that we're all kind of sharing and noting on is that when we think of volunteering, we think of helping others, and in return, that makes us feel happy. So for our panelists, has anything inspired you guys to become quote unquote a full-time volunteer? So sometimes without knowing, we find ourselves in a position where we're volunteering, but sometimes it feels like a job, right? We're giving everything that we have to volunteer. So what, if anything, has inspired you guys to be and stay in this position?
I mean, I guess you could say recently what's been inspiring me is Malcolm X, really. And the main reason for this is you have to understand the man he was and the man he became. This was, I'll be explicit, a drug dealer, a criminal, a drug addict, up at 11 in the morning, high off his mind. So becoming one of the most intelligent men in really American history, one of the most intelligent men. And how did he become this? Was in prison. He found the Nation of Islam in prison. My bad. But that's funny to me. In such a rat hole, you find such beauty. You know what I mean? It's shirk. The Nation of Islam was shirk, but it led to such a beauty. It led to once being a man that poisoned his community to being a man that, my bad, I know my voice is shaky. I'm a little nervous. What's it called? To being a man that spread essentially dawah in his community, that spent high morals in a community where there were no morals, where once what they ate was, while their masters were eating the nice meats and such, the nice portions of the pig, they were eating the guts of the pig. They call them chitlings now. You know what I mean? That's that. I laugh because how does one come out of such beauty? You know what I mean? But that's the inspiration for me right now.
I can't talk there.
I guess in the very beginning, there were a few steps. First, I went to volunteer because I was getting points in high school. Then I saw my brother volunteering at multiple places, and then he had like so many friends. And I'm like, okay, I want to be like, I want to have so many friends and like all these people I know like hang out all the time. But then like after I started volunteering at other places and going along with my brother, I found other reasons, like, why do other people volunteer? Like, I met new people. I created new experiences, and I learned from other people that volunteering makes me happy. Volunteering makes them happy. Whatever I do through my volunteer work, I get perks for it. I get reward from it, from Allah, and that just adds to it. And volunteering in itself, has so many benefits, and that is right now, I guess, some of the things that inspire me to continue volunteering. apart from the fact that I have a certain inability of saying no, it helps with organization. It like you can fill up your time, to put your time to better use. Volunteering helps you, in my opinion, become a better person. When you volunteer to help someone else, you see other people. Maybe you're volunteering to help a cause, helping people in need who are in worse situations than yourself, and in like voluntarily or involuntarily, that makes you reflect on your own life and your own experiences. They are going through such crisis, and alhamdulillah, like I'm better. I want to help them. Like it makes you a person, a better person. It helps you light a candle in your own self, and it motivates you to do better. Motivates you to do better for your own self. They don't have it, I have it, and alhamdulillah, like let me make use of what I have. It provides that for you. It provides a vision. It creates new experiences. It helps you meet other people. It broadens your horizon. That's like for me what inspires me to continue volunteering, meeting new people, creating new experiences, creating a khushu in my heart, to do better for the sake of Allah, for the sake of other people, to bring a smile to others.
Okay. So going back to me, it's not as like inspiring as like Malcolm X, but I think for me, it'd be my dad is actually the reason that I kind of, I guess, felt like volunteering. I mean, growing up, he was someone who was actually pretty involved in this community, and with that being said, and I was being around him so much that I kind of went through the actions with him, and it wasn't until a lot later I truly realized why he was doing it, and it wasn't just a simple question, it's why you do it. It was more of a realization that despite, I mean, you come from a position of privilege in a way, and there are people that aren't as privileged, and that's what it comes down to. And every single one of us here is privileged in one way, shape, or form. I mean, a lot of people think that, I'm only like 15, I'm only 16, how am I privileged? I mean, the fact that you're sitting here on a Friday night with a full stomach in an air-conditioned room shows that privilege. And being in that form of privilege, you're kind of entitled to uplift your community, uplift the people around you, and help those and uplift those other people that don't have that sort of privilege. And when you realize that sense of duty, I kind of felt that I had that sense of duty for myself, even though I might not be as privileged as a person next to me or someone else. I truly recognize my privilege, and I realized that I need to use that as a platform to, I guess, uplift others. And because of that, that's what kind of made me realize that volunteering was something that I was entitled to do.
Yeah, those are all awesome reasons, mashallah, and I think I relate to an extent to all of them. For me, volunteering started off as like a social thing. It was, everyone in high school knew that Friday nights we came to the masjid and there was going to be a volunteering opportunity, either at the halaqah, at, passing out food, for a carnival, whatever. It was something social that we did for fun because all our friends were there. But I think more to what Anjum said is just I've realized that each one of us can impact people through the act of volunteering. So for me, what inspires me definitely first is my siblings. So I'm an older sister, and my siblings are with me 85% of the time, most of the time, basically. And I've realized that the way that I act, whether it's in front of my parents or it's in public as a volunteer or just with people in general, makes an impact on them. So my siblings definitely are an inspiration for me to keep volunteering and just doing good and being good. And then growing, right? So impacting people and then making a change in people's life, but also making a change in my life as well is something that keeps me going. And obviously for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make people happy and potentially to change people's lives, right? It sounds dramatic, but you definitely have that ability to change people's lives, whether you think it or not. So to go to the next question, do you guys think you found illumination through the act of volunteering? So volunteering is something that can be enlightening. It can sort of revive your spirit, you know. And it can, some people feel like they become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they feel like, you know, they've had this revolutionary experience when they volunteer. So has that happened to you? Yeah, have you guys found illumination?
So through volunteering in this community, and you feel a sense of achievement, and I can speak on Aliyan about this too. So me, Aliyan, Basel, and Arslan. So we've been a part of this community ever since this masjid was a small trailer on the other side, like all the way down there. And so for the past, like, I guess, what, 15 years, right? No, 18 years, I guess, basically, since 2003 back then. Like you've kind of seen this much, we've seen this much grow, and Basel, he's been active in this community, Arslan has too, and Aliyan has been, I mean, just look at the man, very active. And so by volunteering here, you kind of feel a sense of achievement that, you know, that we kind of uplifted the community, we kind of made this happen. I don't want to say made this happen because I think that's not right to say, but we contributed to what happened here. And that sense of achievement, it's kind of, it makes you happy, and it kind of, yeah, I mean, it makes you happy at the end of the day.
For me, yeah, I guess I would definitely say that there's something that I've found that keeps me going, right? And if you call that illumination, we can call that illumination. But definitely it's something that I've realized that everything that I have the power to do is because Allah has given me that power, right? It's nothing from me, but it's because Allah has given that to me, and I'm using it in the best way that I can. So through this act of volunteering, I've definitely felt a sense of achievement because we see things happen, right? When we have a carnival, we see people come. When we have a halaqah, we see people come. We make new friends. We make, you know, cool experiences. We have a good time. So through volunteering, yes, it's something that I feel has become a part of my life. If I were to suddenly stop volunteering, I would feel like I'm slightly missing something. Something would feel a little off, right? Because it's just sort of nature now that I haven't done it as long as they have, mashallah, but it's still something that I felt an impact from. And I would definitely say that volunteering has helped me sort of become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and realize what my real duty is in this life. So yeah.
One thing I do want to say is, first and foremost, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. It's the intention of your heart at the end of the day. Personally, sometimes I feel what my 10 years, whatever, compared to Shatha is, it's nothing. She's levels ahead of me. I'm being blunt. I'm not trying to fish, you know what I mean? But you know, the main point of the question, volunteering was an illumination for me. Through, if I was going through something, it was, I'm not even gonna say this youth halakha stuff, because to me this isn't volunteering. Volunteering is feeling the hand of someone who constantly is working hard to feed their family, but they still have to take a donation from someone else. You're going out to these communities, giving them food. There's brothers that have been doing that for years. Unfortunately, I don't do that as much anymore. But that is volunteering to me. And everyone's basically saying the same thing. It's to make yourself feel good. As much as we want to say it's for the pleasure of Allah, that should be our intention. But in the depths of our heart, if we're being honest, it's really to, you feel like you have so much blood on your hands that this is what you have to do to make yourself feel better. That was a little explicit, but that's besides the point, you know what I mean? That it's like a shower, bro. When I feel dirty, I gotta come volunteer. I gotta come here and clean myself. Essentially, that's what it is.
I guess going back to what Shatha had mentioned earlier, you know, like when you volunteer or like, you know, you help someone out, you're trying to change someone's life. And just the fact that when you realize that, of course, like Aliyan said, everything that you do should be for the sake of Allah. And that is our intention, inshallah. But like when I think about, okay, my act right now as I speak or doing something is changing the life of someone else, you know, that that makes me feel like illuminated. I like that, you know, like your act is changing my life and my act is changing someone else's life, and just that fact makes me feel illuminated, even if, like, you know, even if I don't like doing something, even if it's like taking away time from taking a lot of my time, a lot of my effort, just the fact that something I'm doing is like adding happiness or goodness to someone else's life. That just that fact is enough for me to, you know, to volunteer.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So, yes, awesome, mashallah. So, obviously, everyone has something different that motivates them, right? But at the end of the day, everything we do, inshallah, we hope to do it for the sake of Allah and to make ourselves feel good. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with doing something to make yourself feel better if it's something good, right? You don't want to hurt someone in the process of making yourself better, and you don't want to cause trouble in order to, you know, alleviate what you're feeling. So, another quote for you guys: act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. Any thoughts?
Taha, what do you think about this one? Well, give us a thought.
But we have a hand over here. Go ahead. No, yeah. So even if, okay, so even if your act doesn't make a difference on someone externally, it can make a difference on you internally, right? And that's something sometimes we forget to realize, that our acts don't have to always be external for someone else's benefit, right? Obviously, we should do good and we should be good, but there are times where we kind of have to reflect on ourselves and say, okay, my act will make a difference both to me and to the person, right? So that makes you think a little more about the way that you act. Are there any other thoughts?
I was actually thinking about, not this quote, just my first time reading it, but something along the lines of this. Volunteering, community service, it's like a donation. You know, we're taught that when masjid fundraisers are going on, if you donate to the masjid, Allah would give back to you. It's the same concept with your time. You feel like, oh, well, I don't want to go volunteer because such and such reasons. Priorities at the end of the day. But when you don't, essentially you're donating that time to God Himself. That this is, aside from praying, aside from making dua, aside from reading Quran, helping someone in need. is a donation of your time, to which it, inshallah, either will be returned to you in this life or in the next. And the next, it could be rewarded as Jannah for those, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Anyone else? So I guess something that comes to mind just to kind of reflect on this is, for example, when we give sadaqah, we don't always know where that money goes, right? Sure, it'll say like sadaqah for the needy or for the masjid, but sometimes we don't truly know where our sadaqah goes. So imagine if we never gave sadaqah. Never, right? No one ever gave sadaqah, right? Because we're like, if I give this money, I don't know where it's going, so it's not going to make a difference whether I give it or not. I'm just not going to do it. How many people do you think would be impacted by that? A lot, right? So everything I would say that you do makes a difference, right? Whether to yourself, because obviously there's moments where we're by ourselves, and sometimes we'll act when we're alone, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always with us, so that's something to keep in mind. But when we act alone, it makes a difference on us. When we act with our family, it makes a difference on us and our family. When I act with my friends, it makes a difference on me and my friends. And that just keeps growing, right? As I'm sitting here, my actions, my words will make a difference on me, the other panelists, everyone here, people on the women's side, people that might hear me from outside the masjid. So our acts do make differences, whether you think so or not, right? You may be in elementary and middle school, high school, you're like, I'm just a kid. But there's another kid that is probably influencing you, right? There's probably someone you're watching on TV or on your phone that is making a difference on you. Okay, so I've met a lot of amazing young people, mashallah. So you never know, the age is irrelevant, right? I've met younger people that were a lot more inspirational to me than older, wiser people. So don't let anything limit you into how you act and what you do. Yes.
Actually, that reminds me, Malcolm X, what's it called? When he was actually in the 8th grade, he was like the top of his class. You have to remember, this is a black kid in an all-white school. He was the top of his class. He was class president of his class. He was one of the most popular kids. He was integrated into white society. And the reason I'm mentioning this is, in his book, I recommend everyone to check out his book, Autobiography of Malcolm X. It took me 4 years to read it, just saying. So anyways, he says in his book, if it had not been for my 8th grade teacher when his 8th grade teacher asked him, what do you want to do with your life? You could do something with your life. He was like, Malcolm X told his 8th grade teacher, I want to be a lawyer. He said, oh, Malcolm, a lawyer? That's not for someone like you. Be a carpenter. That's the type of time he's living in. And he says, if it wasn't for that moment, I think I could have done what I wanted to do in life. That one teacher in the 8th grade, my teacher in 4th grade told me I'm gonna be a fry cook. You know what I mean? I hope I don't, but that's basically what I'm trying to say is, don't let something like that limit you, because it will hold you back later in life if you let these past transgressions hold on to you.
All right, so does anyone want to add to that, by the way, before we move on to the next question? All right, cool. So another question is, why should we be willing to volunteer? So going back to the quote, whether we realize it or not, our actions make a difference and can impact the entire community. What advice would you guys want to give, what advice would you give to someone to motivate them to volunteer?
If you were in a situation where you were going through a difficult time, like anything horrible, what would you want? What would you want in that moment? Would you want to just, apart from giving up, like, what would you want? Like, if you are in any difficult situation, one thing that you seek is help. You know, you want to be helped. You want people to look at you, or like someone to be there for you to help. You want Allah to be there, but like, if you want that from your own self, then wouldn't you want that for, like, wouldn't you think that someone else who is in a tough situation, wouldn't they want help too? So just that one thing, if you want to be helped in a situation when you don't have food, where you're going through hunger, when you're going through poverty, like in other countries, if you were in that situation, you would want to be helped. And so right now you're in a better position. So think about that, just that fact, I feel like should be in our mind all the time. And it should be enough to make us want to help other people. And yeah. And just the fact that, if I give you a chocolate today, wouldn't you be happy? Just the fact that you being happy will make me happy, Your smile will bring a smile to my face. I hope that, you giving 1 ounce of effort of volunteering could make someone happy, which will make you happy.
I mean, going off of what Anjum said, be that helping hand. Be that hand that reaches out. Be that hand that reaches out that actually grabs them out. Like on social media nowadays, I mean, the world is riddled with like almost every form of corruption, everything, right? And on social media, we see, oh my God, I feel so bad for them. Do something about it. And I don't want to call people out. I don't want to call you out, but like, do something that will actually help make a change on that. Don't just give them pity. Don't just say, oh, I feel bad for them. I wish that didn't happen to them. Oh, they're in such a bad place. Use your position. I mean, alhamdulillah, we're all sitting in a place. We're all like, there's some people that look over their shoulder wondering if they're going to live the next day. There's some people who can't make meals last more than, they have 1 meal a week or something like that. But alhamdulillah, we're in a position where we're not having those struggles as them. And so use your position. Use your position, actually make an effort for them. And then feel that, like, you'll have that sense of achievement. You know what? I did my part. Not my part, but like, I did something to help them. If something ever good comes out of them, you can say that, you know what? You may have contributed to that in one way, shape, or form. And at the end of the day, I think that, for me, that's what kind of enables me to do volunteer work too. And I think that's something that, I guess, if you're adding your thinking, that will help you, stay more focused on it.
No, I just had to re-ask myself. The reason we should be willing to volunteer is, it's going to sound so basic and simple, but it's an amount on us. It's a responsibility. We're obligated no matter what. It's going to literally, I know she said it, he said it. When an old person tells you something multiple times, it's not because they're old, it's because they're trying to teach you the importance of it. There's a reason for it. There's actual wisdom behind it. We naturally just have a responsibility to help. There's no if, and, nor whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. There's no reasoning behind it. And it's not something that just because I do it, I'm always going to feel good. No, a lot of the times, there are a lot of volunteers that, consistent volunteers that are going through a horrible time in their life, but they're still consistently volunteering. We're talking about the other person. I'm sorry, I'm selfish. I'm going to talk about what I'm feeling. Or not actually what I'm feeling, but just in that perspective. My bad, I lost my train of thought with it.
Okay, so I would say, because why not? Right? BC, because why, the letter Y, not, NOT question mark, okay? Volunteering. Okay, so how many of you guys have been in a situation where, say say someone dropped their wallet, right? And you saw that person drop their wallet, but everyone else saw that person drop their wallet. And you're like, oh, I don't need to say anything. The person next to me will tell them they lost a wallet. right? And then that person is thinking, oh, I don't have to say anything. There's so many people. I don't have to, go tell them their wallet's on the floor. Everyone thinks the same thing, right? Everyone's denying that they should volunteer themselves and say, hey, excuse me, you dropped your wallet. If everyone were to think, no, I don't need to tell them, someone else will, well, that person might never know that they dropped their wallet and kept on walking, right? Most of the times when we think of volunteering, we think that it has to be for an event or, for like this big thing where we're helping overseas countries and we're coming to the masjid and helping. But volunteering is as simple as like putting the dishes away, right? When your mom doesn't have to ask you. Just volunteering yourself, right? Or when your professor or your teacher is saying, what did you think of this? Or does anyone have any thoughts? And the class is quiet, right? I hate those awkward moments. Everyone knows it. It's even more awkward over Zoom. And you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, someone is gonna say something eventually, right? But no one says anything because everyone's thinking that someone else will volunteer. I think we should be willing to volunteer simply because why shouldn't we? There's a lot of blessings that we can talk about that we have that other people don't. There's a lot of situations that we can think of that someone else who's better fitted for the situation can do other things for, right? There's a million excuses we can think of to kind of prevent ourselves or deny that we should go and volunteer. But it's something very simple, right? When we kind of lessen what volunteering means, not lessening the value, but kind of taking it in a smaller scale, we realize that volunteering has a big impact. So even here, when I'm pulling a question on the projector and I'm saying, anyone have any thoughts on this quote? And we sit here in silence for a little bit, right? And everyone's like, okay, someone's gonna say something. Someone's gonna answer her, right? But then we have to call someone out because everyone thinks someone else is gonna volunteer. So even smaller things like that is an act of volunteering. And your answer will make me happy and make Anjum happy and all of us happy, right? Because what you say and what you do will have an impact on us, really, genuinely, I mean this. So I think just to kind of wrap up and answer this question is because it's a very simple thing and why shouldn't we do it?
Earlier, Aliyan said that for his definition of volunteering, that he said that it was basically feeling the hand of the unprivileged, right? Yeah, okay. But I think, in my eyes, I think that volunteering can actually go beyond that. And that you don't necessarily have to be giving something, or whether it's even your time, you don't have to be even giving your time that way. I think that when it comes down to volunteering, you can volunteer as being an example, being that light that people look at. Because for me, my definition of volunteering is actually uplifting, right? Uplifting someone else by being that model, that light that kind of people look at and be like, I want to be like that. Even having a smile on your face to me is a sign of volunteering, because you might just actually make that person's day better. On top of that, if you are exemplary in the way that you act, the stuff that you do, you set an example for yourself that people might actually look up to it and might aspire to be what you want to be. They might look at that and be like, you know what, I want to aspire to be closer to being better that day, or be better than the day before. And just being the best version of yourself, in my eyes, could be a way of volunteering. Be that light that guides someone. It's all about illumination, right? Be that candle that helps guide the way for someone else, and not just directly by, I guess, hands-on work, but just being the best version, the best type of person that you could be, whether it's just giving a smile or asking someone how their day is. Try being the best version of yourself. And yeah, and inshallah, when people do look at you, they think that, they use that as inspiration. They use that to make their day better, and they make their lives better, and continue to grow from that day, that interaction.
And just one quick thing to add to that. Whether you start volunteering in the community or whether you start volunteering at home, you realize that slowly the way you are, your lifestyle, and kind of just the way that you live and your lifestyle will shift, right? So for example, if I start volunteering my time at home with my siblings, with my mom, slowly I'll start volunteering for people, right? If someone needs a ride, I'll give them a ride home. If someone needs help finding something, I'll help them. But it's because I kind of started somewhere and it's become nature to me. It's become sort of like, okay, if I see someone that needs help or if I feel like someone needs help, then I'll help them. So starting somewhere is the important thing. Whether you start in public or you start at home, it eventually merges and it blends and it becomes one. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add?
Another example I want to mention is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, if I'm not wrong, when he was Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander, or not the commander, sorry, he wasn't called Amir al-Mu'mineen, but when he was Khalifa of the Muslims, after Fajr, every morning for years, he'd go to a blind woman's house, cook for her, clean for her. I might be wrong. Is that right? Right? Abu Bakr was the one that would go to a blind woman's house. Well, inshallah, I'm right. So, but I'll continue. He would go to a blind woman's house, clean for her, cook for her, help her. She's blind. She has no idea who this man is. She doesn't understand that. She doesn't know that technically one of the most powerful men is right here in front of her doing service for her. I just want to mention that example real quick. That to me, that's a very beautiful example. Yeah.
All right, cool. So it's back to you guys, and maybe there'll be more volunteers this time around. No pun intended. What are characteristics? So 2 questions. What are characteristics of a volunteer, and do you think you can influence others? So let's start with the first one, and you guys can shout these answers out. What are characteristics of a volunteer? Patient? Helpful? Kind? Nice? I'm hearing gently. Is that what's being said? Friendly. Okay, friendly. Illuminating. Courageous. Can you repeat yourself, please? Oh, consistent. Yes. Anyone else? Hardworking. Empathetic. Generous, compassionate. Oh, these are awesome, mashallah. Humble, yes. Being there for someone. So would you guys say these are positive or negative things? Alhamdulillah, we're all in agreement. Positive, right? Who doesn't want to be a positive person? I hope no one raises their hand. Okay, so see, subhanAllah, whether you realize it or not, your actions change your life. And they change others as well, which leads us to the second question. Do you think you can influence others? And this is just a raise of hands. And I'm hoping that we are all in agreement in one answer. So raise your hand if yes, you think you have an influence on others. And raise them high. Be proud. Okay. I would consider that majority. Raise your hands if you say no, you don't think you have an influence on others. Well, if you're too shy to raise your hand because you're not in agreement with everyone else, I will say this. Oh, I lost what I was going to say. Oh, sure.
Oh, someone said they had a question.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly, not exactly, but basically, if we're going with the idea that the ummah is one body, I agree with you. But if we're going with the ummah is one body, if we're going with the example that the ummah is one body, if I have two broken legs, how can I walk? Yeah, obviously crutches, but just go with it. Again, I'll say it one more time. If the ummah is considered one body and I have two broken legs, how can I walk? How can I move? How can I operate? And that's basically what we need to be with each other. If we see each other slacking, you got to uplift each other. And this sounds good when it doesn't take place. The other day, I'll be honest again, I had someone called me out on some stuff that I was messing up on, and I hated every single second of it. I hated it, but he was right. We've always preached to each other, oh yeah, call me out if I'm doing something wrong. But when it happens, you hate this person. You want to jump at their face for them telling you something like this. You're like, how could they? But in reality, that's what we need. That's how we'll heal one another, really. That's how relationships and bonds are connected. If I've never, me and Areeb used to have, use me and Areeb as an example. I used to hate Areeb when we were kids. We used to get into fights, all kinds of things like that. And now, this guy's my brother, you know what I mean? But how did that happen? We had genuine conversation with him. If I had if I had ill feelings towards him, I told him, and we worked through it. That's how we have to operate with, even if you don't like the person, you have to just work with them, get through with them. That's how the body works. You know, the brain and the heart have to work together. They can't be separate.
I mean, going back to what Aliyan said, there are many cliches that go with the same. We're as strong as our weakest link. I mean, carry that person up, make that link stronger. There are other cliches too, like one stick is weak on its own, but bundled together, it's strong. I mean, there's so many cliches that go to do it, and you guys know it. At the end of the day, uplift one another, support each other, and you guys are all old enough to a point in a way to know how to do that. It's not like we need to tell you how to do this. You guys all know what to do. You guys are all self-aware. You guys are at that age. So, I mean, just try being the best person. Try supporting him. Be supportive to your friends, your family. Uplift one another.
I guess just to sum our conversation about these questions, and if I were to personally answer these questions, what are characteristics of a volunteer? You guys all said that a volunteer needs to be friendly, a volunteer needs to be patient, a volunteer needs to be kind, a volunteer needs to be able to accept criticism. These are all characteristics. First of all, I think to be a good volunteer, the first step would be to be a good Muslim. All these characteristics that you listed align with that. If you just try to improve yourself to become a better Muslim, maybe inshallah, that will automatically make you a good volunteer. Good Muslim. Be humble, be kind. Whenever you see someone, to give a smile. And then just the fact that if as a good Muslim, the life, anything and everything you do is you're trying to remember Allah through it. Everything you do, you want to do it for the sake of Allah, to please Allah. So what pleases Allah? If you think about it, then you will automatically engage yourself into activities that count as volunteering, inshallah. And like every act that you do, when you think about, okay, I'm doing this for the sake of Allah, I'm smiling towards someone else for the sake of Allah, Allah will reward me. That is influencing someone else's day to become good. And just like giving a candy to someone, like a little kid or someone, that will make their day better. So inshallah, anything and everything you do as to become a good Muslim and remembering Allah through it, you're gonna become a good volunteer, inshallah.
Okay. And I know we've emphasized this a lot, but I do feel very passionate about it. And I believe strongly in the fact that you have influence always, okay? And it's interesting because if you think about your friendship circle, right? When you first met your friends, you probably didn't talk like them or dress like them or do the same things as they did. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, right? But after a while, you're like using the same slang and have the same jokes and you guys are doing the same things. What is that called? What did your friends have on you, or what did you have on your friends? Influence. Yes. You had an influence on them, right? Even if you think about, I know this is slightly unrelated, but when people kind of compare culture and Islam, right? Culture versus religion. A lot of the times you find culture influencing religion, and sometimes it's not a positive way, right? So as humans, we sort of, what is that word called? But we sort of like knock ourselves down, right? We don't think we have the ability, right? We don't think we can. We demote ourselves, yes. We say like, there's no way anything that I'm saying has an impact. There's no way anyone's paying attention to me or listening to what I'm saying or anything like that. But you never know who looks up to you. You never know that. No one's gonna come up to you and say, like tap your shoulder and say, I look up to you, be a good person, right? Yeah, it's cringy and it's weird. But most of the times no one's gonna do that. So you sort of innately, naturally, you need to say, okay, and this is a process, right? I'm not expecting all of you guys to come back next Friday or tomorrow and say, I am now everyone's role model, so I should be good. It's more of you believing it for yourself, right? Because once you believe it for yourself, you become that candle, and then people will start acting off of your actions. But you never know who looks up to you. You never know whether when you say something that's going to hurt someone else, or that might make someone feel better. So don't, I guess this is to, long story short, don't think that you're not valuable, okay? You are valuable as a person and you're valuable as a volunteer, right? We as people, sometimes we're just naturally volunteers in everything that we do. But don't think that what you are and who you are and what you do can't influence someone. There have been many moments where and I say this because it's something that I used to believe all the time, that I was just doing these things, but I didn't expect that anyone would kind of benefit or feel impacted by my actions. But there have been times where people came and told me things that like me just kind of saying, yeah, the bathrooms are over there. They're like, oh, that girl is a volunteer here. We can always go and ask her questions, right? Very simple thing, but to them it has resonated. And now they feel that they can come to me with a question or they can come and ask me about things. So we never know where our influence leads. And I think that's important. But we've talked enough, alhamdulillah. I'm going to slightly wrap it up. So just to bring it back, we want to light the community with our volunteering. So it's our duty to volunteer. As Muslims and as people, we should feel empathetic, which I think is one of the biggest qualities of a volunteer, towards others, and we should feel the need to volunteer. Again, it is our duty. So our attitudes, our efforts, they can light a fire that continues to grow and impact everyone around us. So I leave you with this to reflect and think, what is your perspective on volunteering, and what are you doing to make a difference? Whether for yourself, for your family, for your community. Again, volunteering doesn't have to be a major thing. It can be very simple. Excuse me, but what are you doing to make a difference in your community? Do you guys want to add anything before we wrap up? Does anyone have any questions? Comment? Yes. Yes. Like you should do it without expecting anything. Volunteer without expectations. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, for all of us here, and I can speak on behalf of everyone here, we don't really give a certain number of hours a week. And it's more or less that whenever something is needed, these three are the first people to step up. And whenever they'll kind of put aside stuff or manage their time in a way that they'll be able to come in on time. It's not like we're giving a certain amount of hours a week. It's more or less, and actually that's the case with a lot of volunteers that actually do come in this masjid. They don't give a certain amount. They're not like they're not volunteering like 1, 2, 3 hours. It's mostly, I guess it's on call. Whenever something is needed at this masjid, we have a great community to a point where they'll step up and they'll deliver. And that's something that I think I'm really proud of for this community. But yeah, there's no certain time that they're given.
I guess like that's what the whole purpose of this was about. Like how Areeb was saying that once you start volunteering, whatever reason may be, once you start being consistent with it, you will start liking it, and then it wouldn't be a matter of how much time I'm giving. It'd be like I'm needed, I'll be there, no matter what I'm doing. I'll make time for it. So again, I just wanted to remind ourselves, that first to be the illumination, the first few things that we told ourselves was when we talked about illumination, be the candle or reflect the candle. So first, I feel like to become the candle, you need to light the candle in yourself. I wanted to remind that. Whatever action you do it for the sake of Allah, and then it will add to yourself. And another thing I wanted to mention real quick is that all of us are carrying this religion upon our shoulders. So remember that all the time. You're influencing other people. You're building an image of Islam. You're carrying the image of Islam on your shoulders. So in whatever actions you commit in your daily lives, just remember, people are seeing you. Allah is seeing you. You want to portray the best of yourself, the best of your religion to other people, and that should help you face your decisions in a better way, inshallah.
Yeah, just to answer the second question, if you guys are interested in volunteering, you can contact any and all of us, inshallah. Sisters, you can get my number, whatever you guys are comfortable with, an email. We are more than happy to take ideas from you guys. If you feel like you want to speak and you want to be sitting up here, we are more than happy to welcome you guys to come sit up here and talk. There's no qualifications, nothing. We are just, there's also, you can well, I mean, the easiest thing right now is to just contact us and talk to us personally, one-on-one, face-to-face. We'll remember you guys, and inshallah, we'll definitely get you guys involved.
On the Maryam Islamic website, maryam.org/volunteers, there's actually a sign-up link. We don't do that anymore? It's also there. Yeah, so you can sign up to be a volunteer from there, and then you'll be on a list that we'll actually reach out to. Another thing is that through the Maryam Instagram too, if you actually are interested in volunteering from there, DM the Maryam Instagram pages. and we'll try our best to reach out to you. And then, yeah.
I mean, just one thing I wanted to say was anything beneficial was from Allah. Anything wrong or incorrect, this goes for all of us, was our own mistakes, our own faults. And also, just I wanted to tell everyone to please make dua for our maintenance employee Francisco. His son passed away tonight. So I just ask that everyone please make dua for him.
We're always looking for volunteers during Jummah to help maintaining the regular protocols and COVID guidelines. You can come in Jummah during Jummah time, you know. And also, we always require volunteers for weekend school. Weekend school takes place 10 to 2, Saturday and Sunday. Come to the first trailer and let the person sitting in the first trailer know that I want to volunteer today. And inshallah, you know, there's your opportunity. Or come see us, and we'll add your contact, and we'll contact you whenever you're needed.
Okay. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you guys so much for being here and for listening. May Allah allow us to be the best versions of ourselves, and may Allah allow us to make a positive impact on ourselves, our families, our friends, our community, and may we continue to grow and become the best Muslim that we can possibly be. Again, Jazakumullah khair. If there are any questions, feel free to come up to us and ask questions. But as for now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and we'll see you next Friday.
A quick volunteer opportunity right now is just to pick up your chair at least and put it to the side, or else this whole night was a waste. So just saying. Assalamu alaikum.